Let's make a pretty spring-themed layered necklace set that can be worn individually or together. If you're interested, stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. If you're new, a huge welcome to you. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Guess who I have on my lap? I have my cat, Boo Boo. And he's actually doing a little bit better. And I'm very happy because he actually ate a lot today compared to previous days. He's been having a little bit of a poor appetite in spite of the fact that we're giving him an appetite stimulant. But today we cooked chicken and we minced it up and gave it to him and he loved it. We also spent a good amount of time outside enjoying the beautiful spring weather. Most of the time he likes to sit on my lap. He feels very comfortable with me. But then there are other times when he walks around. He's definitely very interested in the birds. We have a couple of bird feeders. And once in a while the hunter in him comes out and he chases them. It's been a little bit challenging for me to make jewelry because he's always on my lap like he is right now. But I'm not complaining because I'm absolutely elated that he's still with me. For a while there, I thought I was going to lose him. So I'm going to try to enjoy as much time as I can with him, and I'll just take it one day at a time. But we're not here to talk about my cat. We're here to make jewelry, and we're going to be making that gorgeous necklace set that you saw in the intro. And we'll be using the beads that came in the Curated Bead box for the month of April. And if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below, along with a link to the website. And you can't see my cat right now because he's on my lap, but he keeps looking up at me like if to say, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? Cats are so much fun. I absolutely love cats. I'm a cat person. I like dogs too, and I actually had one that I really loved. His name was Vinny. He was a Westie, and unfortunately he passed away. I think it was about maybe 10 years ago, something like that. But he was a really good dog. He really was, and we miss him so much. But anyway, guys, before we get started, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And don't forget that I leave timestamps down below, and I'm going to leave a list of all the materials down below as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. And here we have Curated Bead box for the month of April 2023. The name of this box is Spring is in the Air. Let's go ahead and select the beads. We're going to be using some of these acrylic charms. I love these. I love the colors. And I do want to use these spacer beads, these flower beads. These measure 6 millimeters across. We're going to be using this strand here. These are jade style glass beads, and the color is soft lilac, and these are 6 millimeters in size. I do want to use these 8 millimeter size beads. This color is called Lilac, and as you can see, these are glass pearls. We'll be using this strand as well. These are 6 millimeters in size, and the color is soft green. And we'll be using this strand as well. These are called Crackle spray glass beads. They're 8 millimeters in size, and the color is Greenbrier. And let me pull out the finding starter kit as well, because we'll be using quite a few of these items. And that's it from this box. And here I have a couple of acrylic flowers from my own stash. I want to use them on the pendant along with the acrylic flowers that came with the box. I don't like to dig into my stash, but sometimes I feel I need to in order to create a nice piece. And I actually got these on Amazon. They came in a container. As you can see, there's quite a few here, all kinds of colors and all kinds of shapes and sizes. I'm also going to be using a charm holder. This is a Tibetan style charm holder, and I got this one on Amazon as well. They came in a bag, and as you can see, there's an assortment of charm holders here, all kinds of sizes. If you type in charm holder or bail bead, you should be able to find them pretty easily. And here's a different kind of charm holder that I'm going to be using. I got these on Amazon as well, but what I like about these is that they're very thin, as you can see. We'll be using some craft wire, and this is by Beadalon. It's 22 gauge, and it's in a gold color, as you can see. And I'm not picky about the brand, any brand will do. And here are a few other items. I have some clamshell crimp bead covers. I also have some ball head pins, and these are really thin because we're going to be doing some wrap loops. And I also have two kinds of chain. I have one that has links that are 3 by 5 millimeters, and this one has links that are 2 by 3 millimeters. And let me give you a fun fact. I like to use extended chains for some of my designs, and that's what these are. And the reason I like to use extended chains is because the links are usually very durable and they don't tarnish. At least the ones I buy don't tarnish. Plus the other reason I want to use these is because I like the shape of the links. Let me show you. As you can see, they're very open and kind of thin, which I like. I'm going to use these in between the beaded components, and it's going to create a kind of delicate look and not so bead heavy. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is create the pendant, and these are the items we're going to be using. I have 3 ball head pins, I have one of the 8mm Crackle beads, and I have one of the 8mm glass pearls. I also have 4 of the 6mm glass pearls. I have my bail bead or charm holder. I have one of the acrylic charms that came in the box, and I have my 2 from my stash. I have a piece of 22 gauge wire, and I have 2 4mm size jump rings from my stash. They did not come in the box. The box came with 6mm size jump rings, which are a little bit too big. And I'm not sure if you can hear my cat purring, but he's actually on my lap right now. That's all he seems to want to do these days, is be on my lap. I think he's extra clingy because he's not feeling well. But anyway, I'm just letting you know that you might hear some purring. So let me show you how we're going to do this. I'm going to thread on one of these 6mm size glass pearls and this acrylic flower bead as well, just like that. I'm going to create a wrap loop, so I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the flower bead like this, kink it, switch to this portion of the pin, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back, just like that. And now we're going to attach it to the bail bead. I'm going to slide it into the loop that I just created, like that. And now I'm going to create a wrap loop, and I'm going to use these pliers. I like to use these pliers because they have skinny tips and they grab really well. So I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, just like that. And with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to do a couple of wraps. You can do as many wraps as you want to. It's up to you how many wraps you want to do. And now we need to cut off the excess. So I'm going to use my flush cutters. And if you see anything sharp sticking out, you should definitely tuck it in. So this is what we have so far. And now we're going to create another little dangle. This time I'm going to use this bead and this acrylic flower. Just like that. Same thing, I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the flower bead like this, kink it, switch, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back. And I'm not going to do any wraps just yet because we need to connect it to this flower. And I'm going to try to connect it to the loop. So I'm going to slide the pin into the loop like this. It's a little tricky, but that's what you want. And now I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do my wraps. Snip off the excess. And now I'm going to tuck in that little sharp end. And that's what we have so far. Pretty cute. And we actually only need one of these jump rings. So now we're going to create the third dangle. And for that I'm going to use this wire. This is 22 gauge wire. I'm going to grab the wire about 1/3 of the way down, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And now I'm going to do some wraps. So I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. cut off the excess. And if you see anything sharp, definitely tuck it in. So now we're going to thread on this bead and this green one. And the acrylic flower. Just like that. As you can see, the green bead is sitting inside that flower, but you can still see it. I think it's really cute. And now I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the flower like this, kink it, switch to this part, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Now if you wanted to, you could attach it directly onto this flower, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use a jump ring, and the reason I want to use a jump ring is because I want this one to dangle a little bit. I want it to have a little bit more freedom. So let me go ahead and do some wraps. And I clearly did not give myself enough wire, but I'm still able to do it. Let me cut off the excess, tuck in the little end, and this is what we have so far. And now I'm going to create one more dangle that's going to hang from the bottom of this one, and I'm going to use one of these glass pearls. And I don't know why I have an extra one, but we don't need the extra one. Let's go ahead and thread the pin on. Grab the pin at the top of the bead, kink it, switch to this part, take the tail, wrap it around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And before I do wraps, I'm going to attach it to this loop, just like that. Grab the loop with my pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little sharp end. And now let me open up this jump ring. Connect it to this loop. So now we need to figure out where to connect it, and it's a good idea to let the dangles hang to see what makes sense. Of course, you could always change it if it doesn't look right. Let me try this loop here, like that. And close it up. So this is what we have, and I think it looks adorable. Let's move on to the next step. I'm going to be creating 10 little dangles using these green pearls, and these are going to be placed at the bottom part of the necklace. Let me go ahead and do one with you, and then I'll do the rest off camera. We're going to thread it onto a ball head pin like this. Let me straighten out my pin a little bit. It's a little bit bent. And just like before, I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead, like this, kink it, switch, take the tail and wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, remove my pliers, and now I'm going to take one of these charm holders, and I'm going to slide the loop of the charm holder into the loop that I just created, like that. I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers. And with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and do my wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little sharp end. So that's what we have so far. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing for the rest of them, and I'll be right back. As you can see, I've created my little dangles. I have a total of 10. I also have my pendant, and I have 10 of the lilac beads, the 8mm size beads. All of these are going to go on the bottom of the necklace. So let me show you what we're going to do. I've already played around with this design, so I kind of know what I'm doing. But before I string it onto beading wire, I'm going to load them onto one of my magic rods. You may have seen me use these in previous videos. I carry these in my Etsy store, and basically I like to use these to create my bead patterns. The reason I like to use these is because I can load all kinds of beads, all kinds of charms, all shapes, all sizes, and then I bring them up close using these little stoppers. I can bring them up so they're up against each other, and then I can get an accurate measurement. So let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to start with one of these beads, and then a green bead, and again another one of these lilac beads, and a green dangle, and I'm going to load a total of 5 of each. So here are 5 of the lilac beads and 5 of the green dangles, and now I'm going to load the pendant. Just like that. I think that looks really cute. I really love that. And now I'm going to load the rest of the beads on this side. So here's what we have so far, and I think it looks really attractive. Let me go ahead and measure it. It measures about 3.5 inches. Now obviously you can make this part as long as you want to. It's completely up to you. And if you don't have any of these rods, you can use a scrap piece of beading wire. The problem with that is that you can't bring the beads up close like this, and they need to be up close because of the charm holders. Let me just show you what I mean. Here's a charm holder. It needs to sit on the bead like this. It has to be centered right on the bead. So if you don't bring your beads up close, it's going to slide down the bead and then it won't look right. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, now that we've measured it and everything, we're going to go ahead and load it on beading wire. And we're going to use the beading wire from the Finding Starter Kit. I'm going to cut myself a 6-inch piece. And here it is. I'm going to slide the stopper off. Let me place a clip at this end. And now I'm going to slide the beads off the rod and load them directly onto the beading wire. So now that I've loaded the beads onto the wire, I'm going to crimp it off. I'm going to use the crimp beads that came in the Finding Starter Kit. Here's a couple of them. And here are my clamshell covers. So let me show you how I do this. I'm going to thread on the clamshell cover first, and I'm going in from the bottom. And now a crimp bead. And now using my chain nose pliers, I'm going to grab the crimp bead and squash it. Just like that. And now I'm simply going to place it inside the clamshell cover like this. And before you cut off the excess beading wire, you should test it to make sure that you crimped it properly. And mine is on there really good. So now I'm going to cut off the excess beading wire. And I'm going to close my clamshell cover. Let me use my pliers. And that's all there is to it. I like to use these because they have 2 loops, and I feel that that's a little bit more secure than 1 loop. So now we're going to slide everything down. Now before I slide on the clamshell cover, I'm going to open it up a little bit because I need to be able to reach in there to squash the crimp bead. And now I'm going to thread it onto the beading wire, bring it down, thread on the crimp bead, bring that down. Now before I crimp this bead, I want to show you something. Like I was explaining before, you need to make sure that those charm holders are up against the big beads, because if they're not, they're going to sit on the beading wire. Let me show you. I'm not sure if you can see what happened there, but a couple of those charm holders are sitting on the beading wire instead of being up against the beads. I hope that makes sense. You want to make sure that doesn't happen. So let me grab the bead now. And I'm going to pull on the beading wire before I squash the crimp. So now I'm going to squash it. Make sure you squash it well. And now let me test it. It's on there really good. So now I'm going to cut off the excess beading wire and close my clamshell cover. And this is what we have so far. I think it's adorable. So now we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to be creating some beaded components that are going to form the strands of the necklace. And here are the beads we're going to use. These are the 8mm size glass pearls. And these are the green 6mm pearls. These are also 6mm in the color soft lilac. They're the jade style glass beads. And these are the 8mm size crackle beads in the color Greenbrier. So let me show you how we're going to do this. And by the way, this is a pretty long piece of wire. It's about 3.5 inches long. You need it to be long enough so you can do wrap loops. I'm going to grab the wire about 1/3 of the way down, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back. And now before we do the wraps, we're going to attach chain. So I'm going to slide the link of the chain into the loop that I just created, like this. I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. And if you see anything sharp sticking out, make sure you tuck it in. We're going to create two types of beaded components. Let me show you the first type. This one's going to have a green 6mm bead, an 8mm size lilac bead, and another green one at the end, just like that. I'm going to grab the wire right where the bead is, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part of the pliers, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back, and before I close it, I'm going to attach another piece of chain. Just like that. Grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little sharp end, and now we're going to remove the chain we don't need. I'm going to snip this link, and and this is what you want. I only want 2 links of that chain. Now if you want more space between your beaded components, obviously you can have more links. It's up to you. Let me do the same thing to this side now. So now I'm going to show you the other beaded component. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the wire 1/3 of the way down, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and now I'm going to attach it to the chain, just like that. Grab the loop, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little sharp end. I'm going to thread on one of the lilac beads, and now a crackle bead and another lilac bead, like that. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part of the wire, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and once again we're going to attach some chain. I'm going to slide the link into the loop I just created, like that. Grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little sharp end, and now I'm going to get rid of the chain I don't need. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to keep creating these beaded components and attaching chain, and I'm going to create 2 strands, one for each side of the necklace. I'm not exactly sure how long I want the necklace just yet. I'll figure it out as I go along, and to save time I'm going to do it off camera, so I'll see you in a few moments. I thought I would insert this little tip. Your chain may have links that are open links. If that's the case, you can actually open them up and you don't have to cut them, and you can save your cutters. Let me show you. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this link actually has a cut, so it's an open link. And instead of cutting it, I can open it up like this and remove the piece that I don't need. And that way you don't have to wear out your cutters. Well, I'm back, and as you can see, I completed both strands, and each one measures approximately 9 inches. So by the time we connect the lower piece and the lobster clasp and jump rings, the necklace will be between 22 and 23 inches long. So now we're going to connect the strands to the lower part, but I do want to point something out. Each one of these beaded components has a piece of chain with 2 links, and I also have chain at the ends, but this end only has 1 link and this end has 2 links. And the reason I only have 1 link on this end is because I'm going to connect it to the lower portion of the necklace with a jump ring. So let's go ahead and do that. Here are 2 jump rings. Let me open up this jump ring. I'm going to connect the jump ring to the link like this, and now I'm going to connect it to this loop of the clamshell cover, just like that. Let me close it up. And now let me open up this jump ring. and I'll connect it to this link. And now the clamshell cover, or the loop of the clamshell cover, I should say. So now we're going to connect the clasp. Here are 2 more jump rings and a lobster claw clasp. Let me open up the jump ring. Let me connect the lobster claw clasp. Close it up. Open up this jump ring now. Connect it to this end. And close up the jump ring. I have a new mat, my beads keep wanting to roll around, but I think you get the idea. It's a very pretty spring necklace and I'm pretty happy with it. I hope you like it as well. So now we're going to move on to the next necklace. Let me get the materials. Here are the materials for this necklace. As you can see, I have the green and the lilac 6mm size beads. I also have my spool of chain. The lengths are 2 by 3mm, and I have a couple of pieces of wire. I'm just going to do a couple of components to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to lay up my chain like this, and I'm going to work directly from the spool. We're going to be doing some wrap loops. So I'm going to grab the wire with my round nose pliers, kink it, switch, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of my pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back. I do want to open up that loop a little bit. And now we're going to slide the chain into the loop. So I'm going to thread the end of the wire through the link like this and slide the link all the way into the loop. I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps, just like I've been doing. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little end, thread on a bead, grab the wire with my round nose pliers again, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part, take the tail, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back. I'm going to open up the loop again, and now I'm going to cut the length of chain that I need, and that's something you're going to have to decide for yourself. Mine's going to be approximately 7/8 of an inch, and that's the equivalent of 11 links. So let me go ahead and count them, and then I'll cut the 12th link. So I need to cut this one right here. I know it's hard for you to see because they're so small. So now we need to attach this bead to the chain again. But before I do, let me open up this loop to make it easier. I'm going to slide the link onto my wire and then slide it into the loop like that. Let me grab the loop now, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little end. And now I'm going to count my links again. I need to cut this one. So once again, I'm going to get my wire and I'm going to create a loop again. I'm going to slide the last link into the loop, just like that. Grab the loop, create a couple of wraps, and I actually want to add some of those flower beads, so let me go get them. Here they are. I'm going to thread on one of the flower beads now. Take my chain from the spool, slide the last link into the loop that I just created. Grab a loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do my wraps. So that's how you do it. Pretty simple. So the next step would be to count the links and cut off the length of chain that you need, attach another bead, and then attach the chain to the other end, and so on and so forth. And my next bead is going to be the green colored one, so I'll be alternating between lilac and green. And of course I'm going to have a flower bead in between each one. And I'm going to keep connecting beads until I get the length that I need, and then attach the clasp. So let me do that off camera and I'll be right back. So here's the finished necklace. I think it's adorable and it's going to look so nice with the other necklace. As you can see, I used 4 of the green pearls, 3 of the lilac colored beads, and 6 of the flower beads. And I went ahead and attached the clasp. Since I've already shown you how to do that, I didn't think it was necessary for me to go through those steps again. Let me get the other necklace and I'll arrange both of them on my board. And here are both necklaces. It's always a challenge to arrange long necklaces on my board because I can never fit them within the frame of the camera. But I think you get the idea. I love having 2 separate necklaces because then you have the choice of wearing one or the other or both. And I know you can't see the whole thing, so let me pan the camera up a little bit. There's the top. And there's the bottom. So anyway guys, as usual, I'd like to put these on and show you what they look like. So let me do that and I'll see you in a few moments. Well, what do you think? Would you wear one? Would you wear the other? Or would you wear both? Like I've always said, it depends on the occasion and it depends on your attire. But anyway, guys, I would love it if you would leave some comments down below and let me know what you think. I hope I've inspired you. I hope you can make your own necklace set. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.